Well, thank you very much for being with us today. And tell us, why did you decide to get back together? How did this reunion happen?
Shall I answer that?
Yeah.
It'll be difficult for us to all do it at once. Well, I think it started with the VH1 special, which was a thing called Behind the Music.
Okay.
They did a documentary on us, I think, last year, and that got a really good reaction. And then I think VH1 got in touch with Roy or got in touch with somebody in their management, whatever.
Okay.
And this idea of a tour came up. So Roy came to London and then we had lunch and we talked about it and I was like, okay, yeah, well, I'll think about it. And then we had some more meetings with everybody. Because the most important thing was, you know, whether we kind of actually got on, you know, the sort of dynamics, personality, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we don't.
I guess we do. That's not right. Don't argue either.
No, it was, you know, it was...
in the middle.
Yeah, right.
No, it was like, you know, we just got together just to talk about it and it seemed quite pleasant and I thought, yeah, why not, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, really.
Yeah. There's not many many things you can do in life where you get a chance to go back and sort of experience that again and be able to play the songs again and you know, basically I keep saying I got fed up with people sort of nicking things from the 80s, so we thought we'd bring it back to
Like his house.
exactly. So we bring the real thing back.
Like the house, the car. No, I'm only joking. We've all still got
We're doing a
houses.
tour as well.
There's also an album coming out with 2 new songs, I think.
3 new
3
songs.
new songs. So,
Yeah.
how was it the first time you got back again together in this studio?
Well, actually, it's not strictly the first time because we actually got together 8 years ago
Okay.
and we were going to reform and we actually started recording an album, but we all hated it. Well, I hated it. I don't know about
You
the rest of
hated
them.
the music.
I hated the album.
No, it just didn't work.
The production was crap.
Wasn't
Okay.
quite right.
It was the wrong
And,
producer.
The lunch at the studio was no good.
The dynamic of the band wasn't right. You know, I think we've
Okay.
all got a bit older and there's a bit more tolerance, and I think, you know, it just seems right now.
Okay.
You know, and
So,
we can have fun. We're having fun.
so the chemistry, because you've been recording new songs lately, have you?
I've been, well, I've had about 3.
Together?
No, we haven't recorded for a while.
Not yet.
But you
yet,
want
not
to.
yet.
You want to.
We will be doing, yeah.
Yeah, we are with the VH1
We will be
Storytellers
doing.
Yeah.
And then we're
This
doing a
VH1
tour.
thing is really a nostalgia trip because the songs are, most of the songs are old songs and they're, you know, the hits.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it'll be interesting to get together after this tour and actually sit down and write and see where we go from there.
Yeah.
There are a few new songs which are exciting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Love a reggae.
Cool. Okay, well, bring us back in time when you actually started the band. You've been in different bands before being in Culture Club. You've had different styles of music.
Roy was in Russian Bouquet.
Oh yeah, that was the name. It was Russian.
I was in a band called In Praise of Lemmings. We all had really tragic names, didn't we? What were you in? The
Tragic.
Damned?
Well, damn, that's tragic. Crash. It's a tragic name as well.
Yeah.
I was going to be in the Ramones, but I went through a car windscreen instead. I think I got off lightly, actually. Thank God, man.
So when
I was
you
going to go and see
You'll
them.
still be drumming now.
Yeah.
So when you got
That's
back,
still going.
when you got together to do Culture Club, did you was it really fast, the chemistry and the style of music you wanted?
Mikey was the first kind of member of Culture Club. I was in a band called Bow Wow Wow.
Yes.
Very briefly, and I was DJing in a sort of freaky nightclub in London.
Okay.
And there'd been a picture of me in the New Musical Express with Annabella Lewin from Bow Wow Wow saying that I'd left the band. So Mikey came down and sought me out, came up to me in the DJ box and said, "Hello, I'm Mikey, I'm a bass player, and you know, do you sing and what you like?" and sort of grilled me a
I've
bit.
actually seen you with Bow Wow.
Oh, you had seen it? Oh, I didn't know that. So
Lager and blackcurrant.
he came and
That's right.
he came and you know, found me, and I thought it was quite mad at first, you know, because you don't really get people walking up to you in clubs saying, "Do you want to be in a band?" You know. And so we got together, and that's how the band started.
Yeah.
I think John came next,
Okay.
and
Then came John.
John had sort of a bit more experience than the rest of us because he'd already been playing.
Oh, that's what he told us.
And we started to take direction then.
It was the Pixie Boots that did it.
And
wasn't
then Mr. Hay
Mr.
came
Hay.
along.
Well, John knew a lot of guitarists, and so we had this sort of stream of John's friends came to audition for us, and then we found a few people, and none of them were quite right. And then Roy came along, and he was just so adorable.
Yeah.
We had to have him.
Exactly.
He was so lovely. He was really nice.
Just
and
like you were saying earlier.
he is though. No, he was. It was more of a personality thing than anything. You know, we really liked his personality. He was a crap guitarist.
It was his wife you were interested in, actually.
In other ways.
Yeah.
No, he was great, and he really fitted into the band. You know, his attitude was
Aubergine
good.
hair, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that gave a really cool mix of black and white music and pop and reggae and soul.
Well, everybody had different musical backgrounds. You know, I mean,
We're all totally different. I mean, it comes even parts of London we come from.
Background,
North, south, east,
music,
west,
everything.
background, everything really.
John's house is bigger than all of our houses put together.
I was rich in the first place.
I remember the first time I went to his house, I was like, it can't be the right house. It was, you know, really quite shocking, really.
But that's why he's more messed up.
As you can see.
And then you recorded you recorded your first album, or you put out singles, I think.
Well, it wasn't quite that simple. We actually started doing gigs independently at sort of trendy clubs, and we actually set up some of our own gigs. But because of the way I looked, it was quite difficult for us to kind of get taken seriously. And we actually did a big showcase in London, and every A&R man, I think, in the country came to the show, and they all kind of decided collectively that I would never be successful, that I was a drag queen, basically. And
From what?
well, no, that came later.
Danny was there.
Yeah, that was later though.
Yeah, it was Danny Fancy.
So it was
And,
tough for you at the
Sorry,
beginning.
Danny.
Yeah, and it was just like no one was going to sign us, and I was about to give up, really. I was like, right, I don't want to do this anymore, and the rest of them were like, no, don't be stupid, carry on, it's going to be fine.
What was
And it
interesting
was.
Yeah.
we had, in our early gigs, we had a real hardcore following of fans from like doing 2 or 3 gigs, and they were all starting to dress like George already and wearing all the clothes
Already?
and everything. Yeah, and I don't know if
Already.
All the drags and the dregs we had.
So, I don't know why they couldn't see that. You know, Danny said that he could see that, but it was hard for him to convince his bosses because of George's image and everything. But
We actually, when we got the deal, we got Virgin. Tony, the manager, got them into these limos, about 20 of them, I think, everybody from Virgin. And we were playing this really terrible place in North London. They had mushrooms growing out the carpet.
Okay.
And they came in and there were no chairs, so they had to stand in a semicircle while we played.
That's scary.
And we played, no, but we played and we played and we played and we
You know what
played.
happened?
We played for about an hour. It was great.
Did you realise that was the first time we played I Tumble For You?
Oh,
And
really?
apparently that was the song that Simon Draper picked up where he said, I like that, it's a hit.
Never a single, then, was it? Oh, it was a
There
single.
you go. Shows them what a lack of taste he had.
Anyway, they signed us so they could get out the place, basically. You know what I mean? Wouldn't let them leave. She wouldn't let them leave. They kept saying, "Oh, thanks very much." We've got another one now. We kept going. Great.
So the skepticals, like people who were skeptical about your look and the image of the band. I mean,
Skeptical.
Skepticals,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Sorry, I'm
That's all right. Don't worry.
Skeptical and sceptical, actually.
Skeptical.
Yeah,
Oh,
skeptic.
But I think in a way that was good, though, because in the long term it kind of worked in our advantage, because, you know, I mean, even when we first appeared on Top of the Pops, there was a kind of quite strong reaction against, you know, my image. You know, a lot of radio stations were like, we can't play this, you know, this can't be on a children's TV show. But I don't think any of them really kind of expected, I don't think we ever expected the reaction that we would get. Because I never really ever thought of us, I never thought of myself as that kind of like, you know, teeny pin-up sort of band. I wanted to be dangerously weird and on the edge, but unfortunately it didn't work out like that.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. As we represent a lot of people, the kids, the fans who came, you were a bit of a release for them. weren't
Yeah,
you?
some of them, but I mean, we
You're not
never
going out
expected
dressed like
little
that.
girls, you know, like
Yeah,
little girls
yeah, 'cause
screaming. I never
it was John's
expected that.
Never expected
Why?
that, and it
Oh,
was
thank you,
so
yeah.
so crazy.
You hear what
And,
Mikey
and
said?
you were accepted by all kinds of people, like teenagers and even housewives, and
Yeah.
I'm sure, like at
Still,
the
don't worry
airport
about
and
that now,
flight
mate.
attendants, everybody was
Yeah.
Over
accepting
now.
you, and
Especially flight attendants.
flight attendants especially. I remember seeing the video for "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" for the first time, and it's true that at first you look at the guy there in the video and you don't know what to think. It's confusing in a way, and the way you were dancing, you came up with that dance, I guess.
Wasn't really a dance,
No.
more of a waddle.
A water. It was beautiful. It was really original. Did you came up with that like really spontaneously, or you were already
You mean the dancing or the image?
the dancing? This
Don't know really. I
Danse de le
I
canard.
just don't think I could dance, so I just kind of moved around as best I could.
Yeah.
No, you dance. I remember when I came down to meet you at Planets when you were DJing, and you went out and you started dancing. I was like, that's an interesting dance. It was, you had,
You were
and when
good,
you used
man.
to dance live in the early gigs, people used to go nuts.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know, I was young and foolish then. I think as you get older, you become more restrained, don't you? You become more insecure. But I mean, when I started the band when I was quite young, so I did lots of funny things in those days.
Yeah, yeah, no barriers inside.
Not really. I think I think you lose that kind of confidence as you get older, really.
Too conscious.
Yeah, I think so. Too self-conscious and.
But you get
As you can see, of course.
Did you enjoy making that very first video? Do you really want to hurt
Well,
me?
Mikey didn't show up.
You didn't show up for the
I
shoot.
really enjoyed it. I was
Mikey's brother actually is playing bass in the video.
I said.
Mikey was in bed,
I was on the
stoned.
I was on the floor somewhere, stoned.
The old 10 embassy.
Did you enjoy
Read the
doing
mirror
that
for the 14th
video?
time.
Doing the first video was exciting, you know, because it's the first time we'd ever done a video, and we were kind of just excited about everything. I mean, getting the first record, doing your first interviews, you know.
Yeah.
The video was
It
great.
was
I mean,
exciting.
I didn't actually like the video very much, but
No.
Temple, right?
yeah.
Julian Temple, that's right.
Would
yeah.
you introduce it for us?
This is Culture Club, and Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Well, continue.
Roy had great hair in that video, actually.
Yeah,
Big hair.
yeah, big hair.
It was very John Waters.
It seems like you.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems like in the 80s, all the big stars, the bands that were making it really big, and you especially, you had a very strong image, and it seems like it was part of that
It was
era.
all the hair. It was. The bigger the hair, the bigger the band,
Hey, you
basically.
fucking
Yeah.
seagull.
Yeah.
It was the hairspray era.
The Airspray era. Yeah.
Shoulder pads and hairspray. But I think that's always true. I mean, if you think of any period in history, I mean, the Spice Girls have a look.
Yeah.
It's not a very pleasant one, but it's a look.
Oh, you don't like it?
My son is going to kill
Joke, I'm only joking.
Yeah.
My daughter will kill
No, but I mean, you know,
Do you have a favorite one in the Spice Girls?
I like Slush Spice.
Slush Spice?
Yeah,
Which
the
one?
ginger one.
But Old
the ginger
Spice.
one.
Yeah, I
Old-
like her.
Old
She's a
Spice.
campus one. I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Old Spice.
And I
yeah.
like Sporty Spice. I think she's got a really good voice.
Leave it
Oh,
out,
yeah.
Spice.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
can sing. She
Yeah.
can sing.
And I
So-
don't like ginger.
I like Ginger. All right,
So-
Gary.
You have you had a well, you still do, but you had a very distinct look, and you were doing everything by yourself, doing the makeup.
Well, I was, you know, I grew up on David Bowie, so I'd been dressing up since I was about 13 years old. So
Okay.
it wasn't really a look that I'd kind of devised for Culture Club. In fact, the look that I had in Culture Club was kind of a toned-down version of something much more extreme.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in that beat. Wow.
Well, it just was. I mean, I was part of this whole kind of clubbing culture in England
Okay.
called sort of New Romantics. That's what it was called by the media.
Okay.
But we were just basically a group of people that enjoyed dressing up, getting drunk, and falling over. But a lot of it was, you know, Bowie influence,
Okay.
and of course punk rock. And then when we got bored of punk rock, we became sort of more extreme and took it to another level in terms of styling. And when I started Culture Club, or when we formed,
Yeah.
I sort of toned it down, not deliberately. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it's true that in Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, you're plainer than in Karma Chameleon, for example.
Yeah. Well, you get bored. The more famous you get more bored, and you just sit around your hotel room putting on more makeup. And then you're trapped, basically. So it's like, right,
Yeah,
more
obviously that
makeup, more clothes.
That's what we did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you've been working as a stylist before Culture Club?
I actually styled Bananarama's first ever single sleeve. They hate me for that.
Did you?
They said I made them look like shop putters. I had a shop actually in Carnaby Street in London, a clothes shop,
Okay.
and I used to do a bit of styling, and I did a little bit of styling for the Royal Shakespeare Company as well, but that lasted about a week because I forgot to turn up a couple of times.
Oh.
I mean, you know, in those days, I didn't really want to work, so I kind of blagged my way into jobs. I was a window dresser, and I just did lots of things, you know,
But
just
always
to make money.
artistic jobs.
Well, just
most of the
anything that was easy and didn't require too much toil.
And he was a bank manager for a while.
Yeah.
So the investment portfolio. Brilliant.
time. So tell me how it was when everything started to take off, because it took off really, really fast. I guess that was overwhelming for you, the success of Do You Really Want to Hurt Me and the first album.
I don't know if it was that, we just loved it. It was just because it's what we wanted.
First number
Yeah.
one's always the thing. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best. First number one, yeah.
We loved it. And it was,
Edinburgh.
I think the 80s are like the 60s, though. If you remember it, you weren't really there.
I remember bits of it. I mean, I can remember the morning we got to number one, we were in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah.
And we'd actually cancelled a gig the night before because I'd lost my voice. And we went on stage, and I couldn't sing. And we'd been having rows all day, you know. And I said to Roy or Mikey or someone, I said, "Can you go out and tell them we're not doing the gig?" And they went, sod off, do it yourself.
Oh.
So I had to go out on the stage and say, I'm really sorry, but we can't do this gig because I can't sing. They started throwing cans at us. So it was a real weird contradiction that happened the night before, and then the next morning we were #1. It was kind of strange.
There was like riots everywhere welcoming you in cities, like in Montreal when you came to Montreal. You remember Montreal?
Yeah. They crushed the roof on the
Yes, they did.
They didn't they?
Yeah.
Because that was also your first
Very
time
heavy.
in North
Yeah.
America.
we had the big fans, didn't we? We had the big girls.
Some French food.
Yeah, because
All those rich sauces.
I don't know if you remember that arrival at Durban.
Oh yeah, I do
Montreal
remember. I
at the
remember having
airport.
my dreadlocks pulled out of my head by
I've still got
screaming girls,
There
and
were 6,000 people.
yeah. How soon they forget?
Il est parfait, il est beau, il chante bien, il est beau! Paul George, c'est le plus grand chanteur, c'est le meilleur. Le linge, la voix, tout, il est parfait. C'est fantastique. Moi, c'est mon idole, c'est tout ce que je peux dire, c'est mon héros. Si j'avais un fils, je voudrais jamais qu'il s'habille comme ça. Come, chameleon, you come and go and go.
Did that get scary sometimes?
Bring
I
your
guess
kids
so.
this time.
I think it's, I think the whole point of being in a band is, the root of it is that you want attention.
Yeah.
And when you get it in abundance, of course it's fantastic, it's like
Yeah.
people going mad. I mean, I think Canada was probably one of the most extreme places, and Australia.
Uh-huh.
I remember like when we went to Australia, there were people lining the streets all the way into the city, having picnics on the grass banks, and it was kind of mad, But I guess it's more about them. It's about them releasing some kind of tension, I mean...
We did a good gig in
Expressing
Adelaide,
themselves
didn't we?
through you, also.
Well, I think that you become a kind of, I don't know, I suppose, they sort of transfer a lot of stuff onto you, do you know what I mean? Because it's always temporary. I mean, I remember we went to Australia and there was like hundreds of people at the airport. And I remember going there about 5 years later and there was one person and one camera crew. So, it's always momentary. It doesn't last.
Did you know that these things don't last?
Of course, yeah. That's
You were
why
aware
I think
that,
that's
so-
why you have to enjoy them and take them for what they are at the time.
And you feel you were telling that at the time, like we have to enjoy it while it lasts? Were you conscious of that?
I don't know. I think there was a little bit of delusion going on.
Yeah.
You're so wrapped up in it when it happens.
Yeah.
That first time, that first year, when it's just completely insane.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on, and you're like, oh, are we doing the right thing? And is that so? And it's hard to just be completely. You can't detach from it. You can't.
But I've taken longer. I've been in quite a few bands before, so for me it was like, God, I've done it.
Yeah.
That was more like that. It was like,
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I've done it. I stuck at it. Everybody's saying, forget it. You got no chance.
Mm.
So for me, that was the best thing. So turn around and everybody go.
No. So how did it feel when you would see a lot of people dressing like you? Like I dressed like you, like everybody dressed like you.
I don't
When
know.
you would look at them
White,
like,
blue tonight.
When we were in Australia, I think the interesting thing in Australia was that some of the transvestites in Australia did it so brilliantly. Some of them actually looked better than I did.
Oh,
I remember
really?
turning up in Melbourne to the gig, and we were backstage, and there were just hundreds of these guys dressed in like exactly the same outfits. They'd taken different looks from different videos, and it was quite amazing. I got my camera out. I was like taking pictures.
and
Unfortunately, they couldn't sing, otherwise we'd have saved you a bit, wouldn't we?
It was a bit like a celebration
numbers.
of what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
It was really nice.
yeah, so you were honored, I guess, by that.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes, so some had it really well done, but sometimes I guess some were bad.
Sometime in the future, I'd like to actually do a book, because I've got hundreds of pictures of fans that they sent me over the years of fans dressed up as me, and some of them are so hilarious.
Oh.
I mean, some of them are brilliant, and it would just be a great book, because I've got a big box of these pictures from fans, all over the world from about 8 years.
And we did it in the video for
Church.
and it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had people. Some of the fans who were dressed up actually got them in the video.
Yeah, that's
which is quite
right.
interesting. So you can watch that video now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Very
Do you
good.
want to introduce it?
That's an order.
Here's the video for Church of the Poison Mind by Culture Club.
Yeah, you were telling me that you have a lot of pictures of your fans. You have a lot of souvenirs like that.
Yeah.
Did you keep a lot of other things like video things,
I
like
keep
TV
everything.
appearances? You keep everything?
I keep everything.
I guess you have a Boy
Just in
George
case.
doll.
I've got a few of those. I've got Boy Snoopy. I've got this one where I look like, you won't know who she is. She's an English actress called Penelope Keith.
Okay.
They did some very strange things and lots of weird sort of merchandise that I've got bits and pieces of. But I'm a hoarder.
You're a holder.
A hoarder, yeah, I hoard things. I think it's always good in case you get sort of taken to court.
Yeah.
These things can be very useful.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Boy George doll, can you have it?
Yeah, that's right. Here,
No, I wasn't talking
Acquitted.
about. I wasn't talking about that.
Keith doll. Yeah, right.
I was
Awarded damages.
I was talking about like letters and things like that, and pictures and
yeah,
faxes and things like that.
yeah, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
So you keep all that at
I've got
home.
files.
And you go through,
Don't worry, I've been trying for ages.
and you go through it sometimes. You go
I've got
through,
quite a few files on here,
oh,
actually.
yeah. So you go through that stuff sometimes?
Fixed
Everything.
screen, look.
Yeah, yeah.
Fixed screen.
Fixed
Tolerance.
grin. Your natural grin you got
Tolerance.
now.
Yeah.
It must be funny though, that getting back together, you must have so many inside jokes and so many souvenirs and
Getting
all
on very
that.
quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
There are a lot.
Yeah, the first 2 days were quite funny, you know.
No, there are a lot of fat jokes at the moment.
Yeah.
Bad jokes.
We're calling this the Tour of Tolerance, though.
The tour of tolerance.
80s in the leave the egos in the 80s and the Tour of Tolerance.
Yes,
Oh.
John was telling me that there was a limo for each one of you and a limo for the egos.
Oh, that's not true.
Now, of course it's not
We used
true.
to travel around in a bus. I mean,
It's a joke.
in the sort of, at the height of our career, we were quite conscious of that. We didn't really want to kind of play into that. That came later,
Later. Yeah.
after the band.
No, we were very socialist, weren't we? We'd had a van.
We were socialist apart from when it came to voting.
Yeah.
You were not voting.
You might have been.
He who shouts loudest wins.
I think you meant political voting. I was like,
So in England, they didn't ask you to become a sir.
well,
Not
that's
really, no.
not something that I would even be interested in, actually.
You would decline that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
Why?
very anti-royal.
Very anti-royal.
I think it's ridiculous.
Titles are weird, aren't they?
I think it's ridiculous. Who are they to give anybody a title? They're just a bunch of thieves, basically. Their ancestors robbed their land. I mean, I just think it's a load of rubbish. I've got no respect for them whatsoever.
Yeah.
They bring in a lot of tourists, though. They bring a lot of money to London. That's a good thing.
I believe
But
in the
they
monarchy.
take all of it. That's
So
the
does
main
Big
thing.
Ben, but we don't. No, I'm not into the whole royal family thing.
Yeah.
I like Lady Diana. I thought she was cool.
Yeah, you've met her.
Yeah, I met her a couple of times, but
was a
I thought
nice
she was
woman.
cool because she was kind of slightly more ordinary than the rest of them.
And she was close to
Ordinary.
people.
Yeah.
She was nice.
Not too keen on her brother, though.
Yes, enough of that.
I
like
wanted
the
to
royal
know,
family.
with all the looks that you've
We're nice
had,
now,
when you
please.
look back, do you go like, wow, that was cool, or you scared sometimes, or you what was going in my mind? Like, I have an example here.
Oh,
Like, check this out.
Flip.
that's great.
When you look at this,
Who's that
do you like
It
it?
says Motley Crue.
Eghorn Leghorn.
It says Motley Crue above it.
Who's
I look like that
that
guy
Oh, there's
from
pictures
Poison.
and
What's the one from? Is it Poison?
Yeah.
They got their look off me, actually, Poison.
So what's that
when you
got to
look
do with
at
us
that,
then?
what do you think of it?
I think it's a good picture.
It's a very good picture.
Yeah. I look like. Is it Eghorn Leghorn?
Henhorn Leghorn.
Henhorn Leghorn.
I do declare,
It's
boy.
a nice
I do
look,
declare,
too.
boy.
It's interesting being in a band though because you get to grow up in public.
Yeah.
So everything. I mean, there's definitely some things in that you go. Not sure about that. I had some dreadlocks for a while. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Not sure about that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's like.
I don't remember
And
that.
it follows
It's very
you.
funny. I have an 11-year-old daughter who can't. You know, I'm her dad, so she can't relate to the fact that I'm sort of was in this band.
Yeah.
Which she's a big Spice Girls fan, so now she can't relate to the fact that I'm in a band again. She's like, well, and I show her the pictures, and she's like, ha ha ha. It's
Really?
like
Really?
this Uncle George.
Uncle George. So how do you usually react when you see
Well, I
pictures?
don't. I mean, I don't actually sit around looking at old pictures of myself.
But when you do see them,
God, it looks so good.
but when you do see them, do you mostly like what you see?
Well, some of it makes me laugh, but
Okay.
I think it was, it was appropriate at the time. I mean, sometimes I think, my God, I got away with murder sometimes with things I wore. But I mean, I've always had a sense of self-depreciation. I've always been able to laugh at myself, and there's always been a slight bit of humour in what I've done and what I've wore, which was always the point anyway. It was not like I ever really took myself that seriously in that respect. It's
Having
clothes.
fun, yeah.
It's clothes. It gets up people's noses. Great. You get in a lift with a bunch of businessmen. They start twitching. Job done. Perfect.
Yeah.
life's complete. I mean, I think, you know, it's good to kind of, you know, challenge the status quo and do odd things. I enjoy doing that, but
Very important part of rock and roll.
but you know what
It's
you,
not everything. But
Yeah.
it's
no, it's not everything. I mean, fashion is
Let's be
great
honest.
and stupid in the same breath, you know.
yeah.
That's not true.
I think fashion's great. It's got an important role, but if you start taking it really seriously, then you're really sad,
Yeah. It's
you
true.
know.
I'd love to. I think we
Oh, yeah, that's true.
should look at the video for Karma Chameleon. That seemed like a fun video to make, was it?
Actually, it was quite a good one, though, wasn't
Yeah?
it? Yeah, because we left the set for 6 hours and then had dinner at the most lunch at the most expensive restaurant in England.
I didn't go.
Really?
Didn't you?
We had a nice
It was a
meal.
lookalike.
John returned his meal.
I returned my meal.
Now that-
They sent me an animal with its
I
beak
think-
stuck up its
I
arse.
think that video is interesting because it was meant to look like a riverbank on the
Unknown
Mississippi.
origin.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec.
Sorry.
It was meant, the video for Carmen Pena was meant to look like a riverbank on the Mississippi, but it rained the day that we were doing the video,
Okay.
so it looked like the Thames basically.
Yeah.
And the next day it was really sunny, so you know it was one of those kind of unpredictable things.
That's how funny videos were in the 80s. Everyone had one idea and the director heard the harmonica and thought, we'll do it on a riverboat. There you go, there's the video.
Yeah.
Things were very literal in the 80s. You know, it was all sort of very literal.
Yeah.
There wasn't much irony.
That's true.
But it is a fun video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We had a good laugh, particularly throwing the guy in the water at the end.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
hate
true.
him.
I have to say that I don't like any of our videos.
You don't like any of your
No.
videos?
I think they're all crap.
Really? No, really, seriously.
You know what's the
Is it because the imagery of that era didn't grow old gracefully, or?
No, I think that, you know, I think from my point of view, like when you're writing songs,
Yeah.
songs have a particular meaning,
Yeah.
and very often you're not allowed to express those
Yeah.
feelings in the video.
Uh-huh.
So we all ended up doing sort of like, you know, sort of pastiche for the Monkeys or the sort of
But don't
Beatles. It
forget,
was
this
all a bit
the
comical,
early, it
you
was the
know.
early form of, you know, it's the early days of video.
Yeah.
So as an art form, it hadn't really got anywhere yet. But although they're weird, they kind of fit, and they're what they are. They're right.
Yeah.
Somehow, you know.
Would you introduce Karma Chameleon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you want me to do it?
In any way you want.
This is Color Chameleon by
Oh,
Culture Club.
I'm curious about something.
I have
What do you
Jean-Paul Sartre
think-
in my
What do you think about
toilet.
Marilyn Manson?
I think Marilyn Manson's a great rock and roll star.
Yeah?
Fantastic. He looks great. He has, you know, he has a strong message. I mean, I might not agree with that message all the time,
Okay.
but I think the point of Marilyn Manson is that he's having a go at this whole kind of, you know, right-wing, you know, movement in America, and I think that's a good thing. And I think he looks fantastic, and I like the music. I think he's a true rock and roll star in the tradition of, you know, people like David Bowie. You know, it's really thought out, and there's a real philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
And actually, he's a very sweet person. I've met him a few times. He's lovely.
So
He probably wouldn't like me to say that, but he's actually a really nice bloke.
in person, yeah.
He is. He's a really nice person. I met him and his parents in New York the last time I was here, and he's charming.
Wow.
You know, really charming.
Yeah. Bad luck, mate. It's your
well,
career
you are
over.
charming, and I want to thank you very much.
Cheers.
I think it's a good time to come back with Culture Club, and there's a lot of good pop music.
Continue, not come back, continue.
Continue, yes. Oh, you don't like the word come back?
No.
Something negative about
continue,
come back.
continue.
Yeah. Okay, so I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
There's the
for
manager.
your
Here's our
time.
manager. Put the
And
camera on him.
we should watch a last video. We should
By
watch
the way,
a
is
last video.
it cash or check?
Time.
Time, okay.
Time.
If you want to introduce time and say
I'm Boy George. That's Mikey, John,
John.
Roy. We're Culture Club, and this is Time.
goodbye. Thank you very much.